1, 0, and liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. And we've got an exciting episode on deck for you today. Please join me in welcoming Christopher Crespo and Cesar CJ Vertiz, co-founders of ADUKO LLC.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Also want to welcome our right-hand man here, the man on the soundboard, Jorge Pezo Candelario, our director of web development.
How's it going, everyone? Pleasure to be here. Excited for this show. Should be a good one.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he's not Jamaican, but he does have more than one job here at PD. ADUKO, the knockout of ADUs. That's right. And for those that are the uninitiated, I should say, ADU stands for Accessory Dwelling Unit.
That's correct.
So let's talk about this because a lot of people, I mean, this is a crazy time, economy, market, homes are out of reach. People in homes are, I think you mentioned, equity rich and cash poor. Let's talk about ADUs and what problems can they solve for folks?
Yeah, absolutely. So ADUs, one of the big problems that we're seeing out there, especially for single family homeowners, would be how can they generate some type of rental income? So with an accessory dwelling unit, that will be the solution to it. Essentially, think of it as a small home. It can be attached or detached. It'll have its own bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, and you can potentially live in that ADU, rent out the main property, or live in the main property and rent out the ADU.
Okay, so like a guest house of some sort that you can build in your yard, a tiny home.
So this ties into like the Airbnb or even just like rental in general?
Yes, so you can like potentially rent it out. Again, that's one of the ways you can find a solution in order to help the off cost with mortgage payments and whatnot.
Exactly. What are some of the other applications? I can imagine you have aging parents, you have kids returning from school.
Well, creating a incoming source, people getting retired need help to cover the mortgage pricing. And keep in mind that also the ADU keeps, it will provide a value in the property.
It adds value.
It adds value, 20%, 25% based on the area.
What's the difference between an ADU and a shed or an ADU and an in-law setup that you might have?
The ADU is actually built in from the ground, so it provides a whole basic scenario of all the plumbing and electrical built in. Foundation. That's why it gets value to the property. The shed and the in-law is just kind of like a little case shell dropping.
You look at some sheds, you might want to live in it, but it's not. It could blow away, or it's not. Like,
correct. It's not really from the.
Doesn't have insulation.
Doesn't have insulation and the concrete in the foundation.
Yeah. So what are some of the requirements? I mean, is it easy to set up in your yard?
That was going to be my next question. Are there specific people who you would recommend or say, hey, you should have at least this much property, or right. Certain maybe zip codes or town? What's your target? Who's the best fit for something like this?
Most people in Connecticut have the access to city water. Some of them areas that has well. There's probably some restrictions. The access to the open area is another benefits. So if it has a good land and like a size driveway that it can have their own access to it be in and out, that is a plus. Then that's pretty much it. The city and the towns are willing to work and go to the smooth process. What happens to your
taxes? Is it go up?
So just to add on to that, and a great question, by the way. So for each county, there's going to be different zonings, right? We will be responsible for that. So our team will go to the county. We will make sure we pull the permits. We will make sure everything's up to par, let's say. We have to have a certain space, and then this is where we check and we do our due diligence to make sure that we can build the ADU. I can't say I'll guarantee it for every homeowner because it'll be case by case, also depending on zone and all that good stuff. But what we do is we check for all of that first, and then we'll be able to essentially tell you how big, the square footage, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great idea for single family owners, right? Because typically they say when you're buying your first home, you get a duplex or get a multifamily,
Right.
so that you can use some of the rental income to offset your mortgage. But if you're in a single family home, maybe you live near the beach, maybe you live near a downtown, maybe you're living in an area where there's like, I don't know, Yale, or where you have students or doctors that are looking for temporary housing, and it could be a way to generate some income.
Correct. And I'm glad you said that, because especially when you're close to universities, and mind you, there's a lot of single family homes in Connecticut, right? So as the population grows and certain areas are starting to get cleaned up, especially if you live by universities, that'd be a perfect way to essentially, you could potentially rent it out to students who are looking to, they can't dorm or whatever the case may be.
Right. You also mentioned switching, like you live in the ADU and then you rent out your home.
Correct.
You could do that too. Instead of downsizing per se, you keep your property.
Correct.
And generate some income. Now, is this like the next wave? Is this a new concept? Are we just renaming it, or is this something that you're seeing kind of happen?
It is kind of like a new concept, more strategically with the name ADU. So yeah, it has been always additions and extensions of the house, but this kind of law that I just got into, at least Connecticut, it per se getting a whole new studio unit legally for renting purposes. So it kind of brings income to and raise the economy or helps the economy.
Yeah, and finishes, are there any limitations to what you can do? Is it essentially like building a house but just smaller, or do you have any other restrictions with running electricity and running, all that?
No, basically, whichever you have on your main house, it could be moved or bring out to the ADU, but it has independent source. So,
okay, so that's something I was curious about.
Yeah.
If these were prefabricated and then you kind of just install them, the type of a thing, or if they're all custom built per the case, or does that also vary?
Well, the first concept with ADUKO is to build little prefabricated, keep it on cost.
Like a modular home?
Yes, like keep it in cost. I mean, there are some areas that they do it. Some companies that do remodels and ADUs, in the fancy way, probably cost like over $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
But for now we keep it for the basic income, keep it with the cost, and for the actual purpose, which is income source and helping getting accessible living house.
So think about it like this, right? Because there are, as CJ mentioned, there are other types of ADUs that can go well over $500,000. Some of them even touch $1 million, right? What we're trying to focus more is to make it affordable, budget friendly for regular homeowners that are looking for a way to help pay for their mortgage. Looking for a way, and you said something before, which is not just for the income part of things, but it can also be, let's say, I'm going to say this in the Hispanic community, as we get older, our parents, they get older, right? And in my household, we don't try to put our parents in a nursing home. So this would be a perfect way to solve that problem too. I can still keep my parents nearby. I don't have to put them in a nursing home. I'm nearby. I'm still there, and they don't feel left out. Or it could be the other way around. Let's say parents have their kids where they're going away to college, and when they come back, they need a place to stay. ADU can help with that as well.
And is there a specific cost? I'm sure this is one of the first questions that comes up, right? Is there a cost range that that makes sense? Is there anything where you're helping help people find financing? How much of it? It sounds like a lot of this is very turnkey, which I love hearing that. You go out and pull the permits. You're going already take care of the zoning. What other aspects come down to like the nuts and bolts of like, hey, is this a good fit for you? And is this something that realistically you could move forward with?
Yeah, absolutely. So CJ had mentioned something before, and there's a lot of misunderstanding. And what you said before, is this the new wave? It's starting to become a new wave. More and more people are starting to realize, man, there's power in ADU. More and more people are starting to realize there's a lot of equity out there that people just don't tap into, right? So essentially with what you're asking, it all depends on the material, depends on the size, it depends on your county zone and all that good stuff. Now, the reason why I said there's a lot of misconception, because you see a lot of advertising on social media that you can get an ADU for $30,000. Understand that what he said before, which it can be a shell or a casing, maybe that could be $30,000, but that's not including the electrical portion, the HVAC, the plumbing, That's not including any of that. So for it to be a real ADU, we have to implement all of that so it can be legally rented out. It won't be like an in-law suite which is attached to the property, let's say, but it may not have a kitchen. So those are one of the big differences. As far as cost, we would say what?
We try to keep it under 200 or within 200 for a 600 square feet, which is 25 by 25, 650. Yes, so you can fit comfortable a bedroom, a walk-in closet, kitchen, dining, living room, an island. And then for 2 bedrooms could be 750 or 800 square feet, which is like 25 times 30, 35 feet.
Okay, and are any of these like multi-level, or can you do a loft?
It is possible, but then now we're talking about 400, 500, $100,000.
But at that point,
you're building another house.
Yeah,
a house in your yard.
It's a whole condo. Yeah,
but the idea is that it looks aesthetically pleasing, almost like a little cottage or a pool house.
Correct, like a pool house. Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah. Very cool, very cool. And again, we're going to get into the story behind why you started this amazing company very soon. But essentially, sounds to me like it's at the core of it, you're helping people.
Correct.
Generate income. You're helping people keep their families together. You're helping people create equity in their home by adding value by putting this in the yard.
Yes, and that was another point I wanted to say. Not only does it help with the other problems, but it also forces value onto the property. And one of the things you will start to see as this progresses is that when you look at comparables, right? This is a real estate. When we're looking at the value of one property, we want to look at what the comparables are nearby. Now, if you don't have a lot of homes with ADU, it's a little bit hard. So this is where we come in with our strategy to show what that equity will look like. And when you start to see more and more homes building ADUs, that's how the value in the real estate market will begin to go up. So now you're forcing more value. And when the time comes, if they ever want to sell the property, you can get a lot more money for that.
Right. So it's an investment.
Correct.
Right. You're not going to lose money by putting an ADU.
No, absolutely not. So it's just changed the game completely. Before if you feel downsized, you can just sell your house, buy another one. That's not the case anymore because of the shortage of housing, especially single family house. So adding an ADU, having a ADUKO in your property, it will completely add value to your own homes and keep it for the long run.
Awesome. Well, when we come back, we're going to hear all about how you guys partnered up and created this amazing company.
At Peralta Design, social causes are very important to us. One of our trusted community partners and clients is Catalyst CT. Catalyst CT believes in social change that creates a lasting impact on community well-being. Catalyst CT tackles the tough issues that youth, families, and communities often face by preventing street violence, mediating and resolving conflict, improving school climate, boosting mental health, and planting the seeds for a healthy, safe, and restorative life. For more information on Catalyst CT, visit catalystct.org.
3, 2, 1, let's go. We launch friends.
And we're back, everybody. Please join me in welcoming Christopher Crespo and Cesar CJ Vertiz, co-founders of ADUKO LLC. The knockout of ADUs, sponsored by Mike Tyson. No, just kidding. Not yet. Accessory dwelling units. Great first segment. I think you really highlighted all the different ways you help people to increase value, to have more space, to generate income. But really, the origin story is what we're here to listen to. So tell us the beginnings, the foundation, the early days of ADUKO.
Well, my background is in home improvement. I was a contractor, and actually, I kind of see all the mistakes that other people do in the trades, and I try to improve myself. Trying to provide the customers the best experience. Obviously, you've been hearing stories where the contractor did not finish the project, then it took the money, and
the
et cetera, the horror stories,
and then they disappear.
All that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to provide a clean reliable, honest service. Working through my experience, also I lean up to another company that does ADUs, and I find the little mistakes and things that were not in align with what I was thinking need to be done. So with Christopher sharing the story, we're now providing a financial in place, in-house. With other ADUs, they kind of led to a different site, a different financial operators. And, you end up tapping into different levels of credit and applications. Once you're done with that, you go back to it. But then you don't know what's going to happen with those rates because it's not fixed, so it's variable, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't want that customers to go through that. In a couple of years, realize that their interest of the ADU has been increased, 20%.
Wow.
So trying to keep that in mind, that's how ADUKO came in place, knocking out all those ADUs, builders in places. That's the concept.
What I'm hearing is that you guys are like the dynamic duo.
Yes.
That you have the builder and the financing under one roof.
Correct.
That's correct.
Right. So Chris, tell us a little bit about your background. I understand Cesar's the handyman.
Correct.
The craftsman.
The muscle.
The muscle.
The muscle.
Yeah. And also, I'm picking up what you're putting down as far as noticing the pain points and say the horror stories that customers experience, and you want to do better, you want to do right by them. So there's this morality at the
Correct.
core of this about helping people and being good, being a good person, good businessman. So I honestly believe that's the formula for success. You're going to be successful. You're helping, using your talents. But Chris, I want to hear about you, your background, and what drives you.
Yeah, so basically, I do have a sales background. Just so you understand the way I operate, I love sports ever since I was a kid. I love that whole discipline part. I understand that for you to compete, you have to be disciplined. No one's going to force you to do anything. So you have to have that desire to win in whatever it is that you're doing. So I was like that since I was a kid. And my real estate background comes from the day that my mom, this was back in the early 2000s, she was a homeowner. I was still too young at the time to do anything. She ended up having a house, and because of two things, language barrier and lack of knowledge, she ended up losing the house. So it was during that time where there was predatory lending and all that good stuff. And I felt so bad because I couldn't help. And I said to my mom, you know what? One day I'm going to get into this business and I'm going to learn as much as I can. And I'm going to get you a house and I'm going to help the community out as much as possible, especially because I speak Spanish. So in the Hispanic community, anytime I talk to my Spanish clientele, they're like, oh, you speak Spanish? I'm like, claro que sí, yo hablo español. And then as soon as I say that, there's a relief. At least for what I do as a lender. I'm a mortgage loan originator, right? So that's my background on how I got into
mortgages. Were you guys
mortgages.
actually homeless when she lost her house?
No, we just went back to renting. We had to scramble and just find a place, At that, I'm originally from New York, so that's where we started going. We're between Brooklyn and Queens.
But essentially, going through the process of buying a house and then losing it can't be fun.
No, not at all.
I mean,
and then to see the expression on my mom's face is what killed it for me.
Yeah. Well, this is how heroes are born. Sometimes it's through adversity.
Correct.
Tough times like that. It gives you purpose, and I'm sure you're always thinking of her as you're helping other people and and doing all that. But how did you guys meet?
So I got into this organization called CBNA, right? And from the very first shop
with Mr. Cesar. Yeah, shout out to Cesar Barros.
Shout out to Cesar. So, and in the coffee shop is where we first met. And there was another occasion where he brought the idea to me. And I always like to tell this story because it's funny.
At the time, you were just kind of in the group as a contractor, and you were just in the group as a
MLO.
As an MLO, mortgage loan originator.
Correct.
Okay.
So then he said, hey, Chris, man, I want to bring an idea to you. I said, all right, cool. So he came one day. He started, talking to me. We had met and whatnot. He's breaking it down to me about ADUs, how he has the experience. As he's saying all of that, because I already have knowledge of ADUs, just not to this extent as of right now, as he's talking about that, my mind started drifting into the future. And he's explaining to me his vision, and I'm already in the future. I'm like, right? So I'm like looking away, and I turn back and I'm like, let's do it. I get it. I see the potential.
Yeah, you went there.
Yeah, I went there. I was like, I see the potential. And right away, we just started working. I started giving him some ideas. He was, we were just bouncing off each other. And we have that good chemistry, which I think for any business, chemistry is super important.
Absolutely.
You know,
100%.
and that's pretty much how we got started. And then from there on, we just got to work.
Yeah. So who's Batman and who's Robin?
Good question. Not sure. Well, to add a little bit to it, so I called him within 2 days. I think we scheduled an appointment, and so he said, "Yes, let's meet up on Wednesday." I think it was. So like, okay, what can I bring? I didn't know. I just got a logo. I actually got the ChatGPT to design a logo, and then getting little examples. So I got 3 pages. So that was my business plan idea to pitch to Chris. Like I have the logo, I have this, the pricing, the cost. We can do this. We can get into this. I'm like, that's about it. I don't know much. Yeah.
It's in March.
Yeah.
March of 26, you guys created this.
Yes, but we have a good, good foundation of knowledge, a good desire, burning desire to really bring that to the community, especially to the Hispanic community. They need to be educated.
Correct.
And get the most out of their investments.
Yeah, I think that's the first step. Is that I don't think people are familiar with the term. They don't know that they can do this. It's just they don't know that it's within reach. They don't know that they have equity in their homes that they can use to get it done.
Yeah.
So let's say you guys, you mentioned having webinars and having these forums where you can educate. Let's say you have somebody that's interested. Let's say Jorge. He has a home on the river. He has a yard. What are the steps? Like, what do you guys do? Do you guys go out and survey? Do you go to the town first? What happens?
The first thing should be a schedule a visitation for a consultation. And actually through this podcast, you can, what's it called, Chris?
The PD podcast.
The PD podcast. We can get free consultation.
Nice.
So visit, look at the area, talk about the equity of it. So try to lay down the whole things. 1 bed, 2 bed, detached, attached, what purpose for it, et cetera, and come up with a plan for it for every homeowner individually.
Nice. Do you come out with like mock-ups of different units? You mentioned earlier that these are modular, so are they certain like styles? Like when you buy into a community, sometimes they're like, well, you can get the ambassador, or you can get the captain or whatever, and they're different homes, different sizes, but you have to pick from those. They're not fully custom. Is it something similar with the ADUs?
Correct. Currently, I have created 3 different modules, different versions, sizes, and designs. We can do with stucco on the exterior. We can do hardy boards, vinyl, something contemporary, not fancy, just to keep the pricing and budget.
Is it important to have it match the house so that it kind of looks like aesthetically
correct
blends in?
Yep, especially in some areas more than others. Yeah.
I want a garage that's like for 12 cars, but just with 1 bedroom. That would be my dream home.
That'd be a dream home.
1 bedroom loft, so I can look over and smell the fumes. Maybe not the fumes, but like but these are 1 bedroom units. Do you appeal towards? Let's say you were building it for seniors. Do you now have like ADA compliant entrance, like a handicap ramp, or enough space in the bathroom for a wheelchair? Like, are you taking any of those considerations into some of these?
It's going to be noted. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So essentially, when we go out, that's a good point, because that's part of the consultation, right? Mm-hmm. Once we get to understand
like
what the client's needs,
here?
correct. Once we understand the client's needs, then we can start to come up with the game plan and whatnot.
Excellent. Well, Jorge, I think you guys, you found some partners here to help build. And is it a trend? You mentioned it being a trend. Are we seeing it more like how much does Airbnb have to do with this, or Verbo, or any of these? Because I've seen a lot of like content creators put out like people are renting apartments and then Airbnb-ing them and getting permission to do that, but starting their own like Airbnb business. but they don't really own property. Is this a way to empower homeowners to,
I believe it is.
to create some generational wealth or a side hustle?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, the potential, it depends on the person, how creative you want to get. The whole purpose behind this is not just for Airbnb per se, but it's there to help generate that extra rental income and essentially to build that generational wealth, which is a topic that we talk about a lot. You know, there's power in knowledge, but there's more power in the application of knowledge. So with that, we talk about how to build the generational wealth. You know, and I did want to make something clear because we hear, although we say ADUKO LLC is fairly new, doesn't mean that we don't have the experience. So I just wanted to make that clear because sometimes people have
the
that.
fact that you've joined forces
Correct.
is new, but you have extensive experience in construction, and then you have, how many years do you have in the mortgage business?
In the mortgage business, about 4 years now, and sales well over 10 years.
Okay, excellent. We didn't really talk about the financing too much, but because we talked about you would assess the lot and show the plans, and then they pick one. But for homeowners, it's helpful to know, like, they may not have to come out of pocket because are you able to, like, restructure their mortgages so that they can get the ADU built and then just continue to kind of pay what they were paying? Or is there another process? Like, how often do you think people have to come out of pocket?
So that's something that we're currently working on. There's different programs. There's what you call HELOCs, home equity line of credit. That's a good way to tap into the equity. You can also do what's called a cash out refinance, which is you pull the equity out and you have a fixed rate. With HELOCs, you tend to have variable rates. There are definitely different options that we can utilize. It all depends on the case for that client because maybe there may not be enough equity. So we'll use part of that and we'll put it with another strategy, whether maybe they can do a personal loan. I mean, these are the kind of programs or options that we're coming to make it happen, essentially.
Yeah, I feel like there's great opportunity here, too, to also, like, remodel the home and build the ADU at the same time, because you might be in a house that needs repair, but now you build this ADU, and you're like, hey, that looks pretty dope, you know, compared to my house. Let me get windows, and maybe you do a package deal.
Right.
Where
That's what I'm curious about.
Upgrade the house
Let's
and get
say
the ADU.
you know you're doing this on a property that is, let's say the property was constructed 30, 40 years ago, and now you do the ADU, and you know, do you have the owner be like, man, I'm gonna
it's got to be consistent.
Yeah,
like I think maybe there's an opportunity to perhaps like redo the siding on the original home to match the ADU. Because I think it looks cool when, you know, I mean, I know when I got a shed, I was like, I wanted it to kind of look like it goes with the house.
Yeah, with the house.
And then you might have a garage, which I didn't. I joked about having a 1 bedroom, 12 car garage, you know, home. But
it was a joke.
Can you do? No, it's a dream. No.
Got me thinking.
Can you do a garage on an ADU, or are there restrictions for that? Does it make it?
Actually, the garage area can be utilized. Probably we need to convert it into a ADU. Yep. Because it has already the foundation, you know, we can probably take advantage of some of the layout.
Right. Man, there's so many options. Awesome. So why don't we talk a little bit about the ways that folks can learn more? Are there any webinars coming up? Do you want people to go to your website? You know, kind of walk us through the best way for folks to get a hold of you.
Social media. Right now, we are launching and working on ADUKO CT on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. And that's ADUKO, ADUKO. CT.
Yep.
Okay. Instagram, Facebook.
The website is also adukoct.org. And we just, in that social media, we're going to work through our webinars and local sessions that we're going to do, whether it's going to be online or in presence. Okay. We try to get into different collaborations with many realtors and mortgage loans officers and different segments.
Are you guys part of NAREP? They're pretty active.
So I was looking into that.
That's a great organization.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's chapters everywhere. Obviously CBNA.
Yeah.
We sponsored that event last month at Riz in Stanford.
Awesome event.
Yeah. And your poetry, I'm not letting them off the hook without talking about the poetry, because that was pretty powerful, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, is that something is that like a hobby of yours, or you do poetry quite often?
From time to time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to put my feelings into words, and express it. I feel like life is art in general. I talk about this a lot. Everyone wants to be in the good times, but you need to learn how to appreciate the tough times. Tough times is what it's what builds your character. Tough times will reveal who you really are.
This is why I'm a mess.
There you go.
He just likes to suffer. But anyway, guys, thank you for being on the show again. Everyone, it's ADUKO CT on Instagram and Facebook, and then ADUKO.org. ADUKOCT.org for the website.
I will also say, if anybody wants to hit us up on email, via email, you can do ADUKOCT@gmail.com. Right now we are currently revamping our website, so it should be launching very, very soon. Super excited. It's going to have a ton of information. And when we have our webinars or in-person seminars, we will definitely have that available for everyone to know.
Awesome. And remember, if you mention the PD podcast or Mission Control, you will get a free consultation. They'll come out, they'll look at your property, and who knows, man, maybe you might have the next, ADU up for rent or to move in and generate some income and build some value. So definitely take advantage of that, and we hope to see you around.
Awesome. Y hablamos español también.
Y hablamos español, y un placer tener los dos aquí en el estudio. Y
muchísimas
que disfruten mucho y sigan ayudando a nuestra comunidad.
Esa es la meta.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch